Thank you, Impact Magazine, the esteemed jury, and E4M for this honor. For decade plus, this list has celebrated women, celebrating, women who have shaped India's business, media, and culture. And to stand amongst them, and especially the women that I heard from today, is really humbling and energizing. I've been working for a very long time, and as some of the others have said before me, it is just remarkable to see the sheer diversity of the industries, of the experiences, and all of that. Such a proud moment. And thank you, Impact, for enabling it. Even in 2026, in India today, we need that stage. A moment like this naturally makes one look back. I stepped into my professional life many, many years ago in the early 90s, when India itself was changing and liberalization had just started. Markets opened, new sectors opened up, we got new vocabulary, and candidly, new jobs were created, and that's the time we started seeing women a lot more in the corporate world. I spent much of my earlier career in the structured and very hierarchical world of banking across many multinational banks. But the coming of these global institutions, like I said, brought new systems, new kinds of roles. The degree of offshoring that happened gave us opportunities to work in global teams. Crucially, it opened the floodgates for women professionals, both in Indian private sector banks and multinationals. And that was amazing because even 15, 20 years ago, you could see a lot of the CEOs were women, path-breaking indeed. For the last many years at Google, I've had the privilege of working across India, APAC, and the global stage across teams. One thing I want to share with you, that if someone like me, who had been a banker for 25 plus years, who was one of the most offline people you could think of, could join Google and make it here, is the power of grit, perseverance, agility in learning and unlearning what made you successful and learning and adapting to the new. And the landscape may look very different, but what never changes is what we heard from many of you earlier, that it takes a village to get us here. Now, whether it was banking that was transforming India in the early 90s, because believe me, before the 90s, we didn't have many of the financial services products easily available that helped transform India. And then, of course, the internet and technology played such a big role. Now, to me, these could have looked like very different chapters, but I always ask the question, how do we get, technology to drive transformation? And when technology changes things and systems, who benefits from that change? Who is included and who's left behind? And that question matters even more today when AI is transforming the world and there are so many concerns and questions around it. AI exponentially expands human capability. It helps convert access into capability. It gets us to learn much faster in a very personal way. It helps us build applications faster, translate faster, diagnose medical issues faster. Basically, problems that were population scale and tough for a country like ours seem like maybe it's within reach. And I also know that historically, technology has been, any big technology gets these big questions, the promise, but the skepticism, and even more so with AI. What the heck is it gonna do? Will it really be a positive, force for good or not? And we understand because, there are valid concerns. But as I said, AI is moving from discussions and theory, not only into companies and enterprises. Many of you are top marketeers who are adopting these tools, but from where I come, for me, it is about transforming healthcare in India, agriculture in India, and education in India, and that's what drives me. It is fitting that this honor comes from impact, because more than influence, I love the term impact. Because influence can be just sometimes about visibility or promotion or being in the right room or schmoozing with the right people. But impact is what really excites me. At Google India, that guides our work. It is very, very critical that we are driving transformation for good, that we are building digital trust, and we are serving the needs of small businesses that are the engine of any country. Which means there are solutions at Google, not just in marketing, but in the breadth of our products and the technology we bring must solve solutions at scale. Thank you for this honor. I say, like many of you, this is not for me, it's an entire village. It is my exceptional team members in my 3 decades plus of career who, as some of you mentioned, we don't get, to mentor others. The mentees do some upward mentoring as well. I have learned so much from young members of my team, not just from the wise mentors who've guided me, to the amazing managers and leaders who took a bet on me, including those, who gave me this opportunity to be a country manager last year. The sponsors who took my name in rooms that I had not entered. And of course, my parents. I'm probably much older than most of you, other than maybe Mr. Balsara. My parents, my father and my mother, who taught me how to, it's okay to be ambitious. It is okay to challenge, Be knowledgeable, but challenge. My father, who was a judge, taught us on the dining table how to argue opposing points of view from a very young age, which helped me to, drive difficult conversations and take difficult decisions. My husband, JP, who's been rock solid through some very crazy times in my career when, you do those 36-hour stints or you're traveling, 3 weeks in a month. My sons, Karan and Aman, who were very understanding when I couldn't be there for every moment for them, and to my amazing domestic help, those amazing women and men who look after my house and everything, because I barely have any time to give during the weekday. It's they who keep things running. So big thank you to them. Now, when a woman reaches a senior leadership role, the effect is never limited to that role and that company alone. She, and many of you know this, that woman changes what younger women imagine for themselves. For me, it was Naina Lal Kidwai when I started in banking. A senior woman leader really changes, and I say this very confidently, how teams function and the culture of decision-making and how we view ambition. So there is not a double bind of, oh, she's too aggressive and too ambitious. How do you balance that? And how do you make sure that assumptions don't hold anyone back, In technology, we always look for force multipliers, that one input that will lead to a massive scaled output. Leadership works the same way, you would agree. When one woman breaks through, she multiplies the pathways for thousands behind her. And I tell you, even in 2026, I am in some meetings where I'm still the only woman in the room. The meetings are going fewer in number. It is less and less frequent, but that still happens. And so it is on us to make sure that we are providing that support to all the women around us, making sure that fair and equitable, is discussions and promotions and opportunities and all of those are being provided. Moving past just including women to recognizing that women are a force of change and really the engine of the economy. And AI accelerates this journey, by the way. I'm so optimistic about it because now a woman entrepreneur in a very small town in India can just very easily make an app, make sure she accesses the market, and she gets the easy credit that was tough for her. So that is why AI is critical in how it will transform, but it will not erase every barrier. No technology does. Social change is not a software update. It is slower and it's more stubborn. The number of us in this room tells us that we've broken through many glass ceilings, but there is still some distance to go. If technological progress drives innovation, it must be built on a foundation of empathy and inclusion. Empathetic and inclusive progress that consciously leaves no one behind. I want to be a bit controversial and say at times I find women who've achieved a lot being a bit shy about, am I a woman achiever? Why are you labeling me a woman? And I wear that with pride, because there are many, many things and factors that got us here. We aren't at the point when you can say, don't look at my gender. It needs to be looked at to make sure that we have equity. As leaders, it is our responsibility to make sure this next era of growth is ambitious, safe, and widely shared. And as women leaders, we carry that extra responsibility to make the path less lonely for those who come next. Sir, and the jury, I accept this recognition with deep gratitude, but also with a sense of work still unfinished. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.